How I'd play Palantir right now has nothing to do with short-term hype. It's about understanding why a company with a PE of 1184 still makes total sense, if you know what to look out for. I've followed defense stocks for over a decade, but I've never seen anything like Palantir. It's riding what I call a triple wave: AI, military modernization, and commercial adoption, and the numbers are blowing past anyone's expectations. In this video, I'm going to break down Palantir's AIP strategy, their NATO deal, and what US President Donald Trump's $150 billion defense bill means for future revenue. Stick around, because I'll show you the exact setup that I use to tell when a momentum stock like this is just getting started. Hi everyone, my name is Rick Orford, and while I'm not a financial advisor, I have been trading stocks and options since 1999. And I help investors like you cut through the hype to make smarter, more confident decisions with your money. And if you found this video helpful and you're serious about growing your portfolio while avoiding potentially costly mistakes, be sure to like and subscribe. It'll help others too, and you won't miss out on any future insights. I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. And you all know how much I love researching new stocks and trying to find the next best investment. So I'm proud to partner with The Motley Fool to bring you 10 stock picks from their popular product, Stock Advisor. Stock Advisor has beaten the market by almost 6 times. Go to fool.com/RickO to get your 10 stock picks right now. Palantir stock just hit $149 a share. $149. If you bought just one stock a year ago, you'd be up by over 420% by now. And I think this rally might just be the beginning, just like how Meta and Amazon were just getting started in 2013. Now, I've been following the defense industry for quite a while, and I can confirm that Palantir is in a very, very unique position. Palantir is at the crossroads of the biggest trends taking place right now, which are massive data analytics, global military spending for modernization, and of course, the AI development that's been very, very profitable for Palantir. Now, if you look into the company's recent financials, you get an idea about where the company is going. Revenue for the first quarter of 2025 is almost $884 million, which is 39% higher compared to the first quarter of last year. Meanwhile, its gross profit increased by 37%, operating income went up around 118%, and at the same time, Palantir's net income increased by almost 103% to $214 million. And that is a huge leap from the first quarter in 2024. By the way, if you want to follow along with my Palantir slides here on bar chart, just scan this QR code and you'll get right to that page. Anyway, Palantir's recent annual numbers are also pretty impressive. Compared to the previous year, the company's full year 2024 revenue increased by around 29% to $2.86 billion. Annual gross profit also went up by 28%. The operating income surged to almost 159%. And the most important of all, its net income soared by 120% to around $462 million. And that, folks, is why Palantir is in the spotlight. And that's because when companies grow their net profit by 10, 20, 30% every single year, well, it's only natural that their stock prices move in the same trajectory. 120%! Well, now you see why the stock has been in the news so much and why it's gone up. And if you zoom out just a little to say, look at the last 5 years, you'll see a clear pattern of Palantir's upward trajectory. That said, past performance doesn't always guarantee future results, but it's how financial advisors sell their funds. So that's food for thought. Now, as for Palantir's targets, the picture is incredibly bullish. Management is targeting second quarter revenue to come in between 934 and 938 million. The range is pretty tight, but it also means they have a clear visibility into their pipelines. Palantir also expects an adjusted income from operations of 401 to 405 million, which would translate to around 42% in operating margins should they hit the mark. Personally, I think that's rather impressive for a company that was just burning cash just a few years ago. Palantir's full-year targets are also something to look at. Management has raised its full-year guidance from between 3.89 and 3.902 billion. But personally, I think investors should watch out for Palantir's U.S. commercial revenue for the whole year, because Palantir is now expecting this segment to report over 1.178 billion in sales, which could mean 68% growth for this segment alone. Now, there is a lot to talk about Palantir's full year 2025 targets, but for now, I'm going to focus on what investors should expect over the next few quarters. On that subject, my guess is that Palantir is very likely to hit the targets next quarter. And I've been tackling this topic on my Discord server, and as you might have guessed, one of the potential catalysts of this is government spending. Not sure? Okay, hear me out. Earlier this month, Congress passed what U.S. President Donald Trump is calling his One Big Beautiful Bill. And whether you love him or hate him, we can't ignore the fact that this bill means a lot for companies like Palantir. Part of the bill includes a $150 billion allocation for U.S. military expenditures. Specifically, the $150 billion is intended for shipbuilding and Trump's Golden Dome project, which is a multi-layered defense system for the United States. It's kind of similar to Israel's Iron Dome, except it's bigger, more advanced, and way more powerful. This new defense system will rely heavily on AI for most of its operations. And guess what? Palantir just happens to specialize in that exact field, AI military capabilities. But it gets even better. Back in April, Palantir closed a deal with NATO for its Maven smart systems. And this helps improve NATO's battlefield awareness and planning systems that will be developed in every allied country. It also means that every NATO country is now a potential Palantir customer. Let that sink in for a moment. I think this could be a huge runway for the company. And with Trump's Big Beautiful Bill, well, Palantir may get a clear shot at hitting or even surpassing its second quarter targets. Now, let's talk about Palantir's AIP, or AI platform, because I think the market is too focused on government contracts right now. For starters, AIP is a platform where regular business users can run complicated AI models without having to write a single code. Now, yes, it's a lot more complicated than that, but I think this is the easiest way that I can put it. Now, before this program existed, businesses would need a team of data scientists and engineers to actually develop AI models that work specifically for them. For most companies, that meant AI integration was something that they talked about, maybe in their boardroom, but never actually implemented for one reason or another. As a result, Palantir's U.S. commercial revenue increased by 71% to $255 million in the first quarter of 2025. And these aren't government contracts anymore. These are businesses here in the United States that are getting immediate value and signing up very quickly. In fact, Palantir's commercial customer count for the quarter increased by 65% year over year as AIP adoption continues to go. And from a different angle, the U.S. commercial total contract value soared 183% year over year to $810 million. As far as I can tell, what's growing this particular segment is the bootcamp strategy. Palantir offers what they call a 5-day AIP bootcamp to onboard prospects where customers can come on with real business problems and leave with working solutions. And with that experience, it's expected for those potential customers to keep coming back for more. I mean, this makes so much sense. That said, Palantir hasn't said a word about its U.S. commercial targets for the second quarter. So I think investors will want to closely monitor this segment because this is where you'll see the progress of AIP. Needless to say, we can expect higher US commercial revenue should platform adoption continue to scale. And I think that is absolutely possible. Now, another catalyst that could propel Palantir stock even higher is modern warfare itself. Now, having superior hardware today is no longer enough to win wars. What matters more is having the right information and being able to act faster than the enemy. And this is why Palantir's AI for defense system is so crucial. Modern military operations generate massive amounts of data. And it could be the satellite imagery, drone footage, communications intercept, social media footprints, financial transactions, you name it. Everything needs to be and can be turned into intelligence. The human brains just simply cannot handle that volume of data so quickly. So defense agencies around the world need AI, and they need it to be sophisticated if they're going to win. And guess what? Palantir has spent over a decade perfecting these capabilities, and there's practically no alternative right now. As a result of these operations, Palantir's government revenues have increased 45% to $487 million in the first quarter of 2025 alone. And to be specific, this is government revenue, which means these are contracts from non-US governments. Last year, for example, Palantir secured a contract with the Israeli Defense Force to help with war-related missions. So as long as there's geopolitical threats within the United States or with one of its allies, companies like Palantir will always benefit from that conflict. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's focus on Palantir stock itself, because after all, well, we're all here to make money on Palantir stock. Well, potentially, right? Again, Palantir is now trading around $149 a share, which means it's up about 420 on a one-year scale. Even if you bought a position just 6 months ago, your stock would have more than doubled. If you look at this one-year chart, it's absolutely beautiful. There's clear upward trend with strong momentum, and there's some volatility to be expected, right? Let's call it profit-taking, but the stock keeps moving higher. And that's something that traders are worried about. Valuation can be a little bit concerning. Palantir's trailing 12-month PE is 1,184, which means it's more than 50 times more expensive than the broader technology sector of 23.77. But personally, I don't think the traditional valuations apply to these high-growth companies like Palantir. So if you let this valuation scare you, well, I think you're potentially missing on an incredible upside on the stock. Also, with all of the macro tailwinds that are ahead, I think that this valuation will soar even higher. I'm expecting this valuation to increase after the second quarter earnings, as I don't see any real signs that Palantir is slowing down. And in case you're wondering, Palantir isn't the only company to have ever traded this high. Companies like Meta, for example, traded with a PE of nearly 1,300 at one point in 2013. And at the same time, Amazon traded with a PE of nearly 1,100. Imagine how much you would have had if you bought and kept Amazon since 2013. Personally, I don't think it's too late to buy Palantir. Yes, there's a lot of near-term skepticism, right, surrounding it, which is natural for high-growth companies. But Palantir's fundamentals are very solid, and it doesn't show any sign of erosion. And there's also noticeable momentum in its overall trajectory, and there's currently no signs of it slowing down. So it's very likely that the stock is going to continue to go up after its earning, should Palantir hit its targets. That said, I don't think that buying the stock for quick gains is a good idea. I'm a long-term conservative trader. My average holding is over 10 years. But for those who are holding the shares, I probably wouldn't be selling right now. Yes, they're going to be up very nicely, but I think we're in the early stages of something much bigger. This is one of those stocks where the biggest risk is selling too early, I think. And the end of the AI revolution is still far ahead, and Palantir is one of those who are benefiting from this development. So that's my take on Palantir. Are you buying into the story? Do you own the stock? Do you have any questions? Or maybe you have a suggestion for a topic you'd like me to cover in the future. Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you did find this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.